Hello, YouTube. This is Mahadev, the Thunder Wizard. All right, so I want to talk to you about distance healing. So, as you know, I have a distance healing service, which I haven't been promoting a lot lately, but I have one. And this has been requested often that I create a certification for distance healing. So I have done that. So in case you're interested in that, you can go to here. Hello everybody, this is Mahadev, the Thunder Wizard. Healingcertification.thunderwizard.com. Hello everybody, this is Mahadev, the Thunder Wizard. And I have an exciting announcement. I am going to be releasing to you, that's because I just hit a course. Sorry about that. I meant to put this up, not just a film. All right. So you can go to healingcertification.thunderwizard.com if you want to be a part of that. So let's talk about distance healing. So first let me say that there isn't any one way to do this. I have known Reiki healers who were very good at what they do. I have known actual Qigong healers who use their own energy. They spend a lot of time building up energy in their Qigong practice, and then they give their energy to somebody else to heal them. And so there's all different kinds of ways to do this. But in terms of the lightning Qigong distance healing, what I do, it is my belief that anybody can do this as long as you're alive and you have energy flowing through you. You can do this practice. So what is it that I do with this? So, as you know, I have been practicing, I'm going to put up here another video so you know what I'm talking about. I've been practicing Maushan spirit fighting for, how long has it been? Probably almost, it's been like 30, 40 years. What, 38, 40, 50, 30 years. So I've been doing this for 30 years. And in my experience, the Maushan is the most powerful energy practice on the planet. Now, I only know what I've experienced, but I've tried a lot of different stuff, and this is by far the most powerful. And so I found early on that if I chose to, I could use that energy. To heal others. It's never really been my focus, but I have it if I want to use it. And there are some things I've learned about what makes this energy different than other energies. And that is, let's see, which one do I want to use? I want to put up here, while we're doing this, I want you to be able to see the lightning Qigong. We can have the immortal Qigong going on in the background, why not? All right. So this lightning energy, in my experience, it goes to helping the person evolve. So it's a purifying energy. So there's different kinds of healing energy out there. You've got healing energy that protects. You've got healing energy that like the god Vishnu. It goes in there and protects. It creates a space for somebody to stay alive. So for instance, somebody could have a severe illness, and you can go in there and kind of extend their life by sort of creating a protection around that. It may not necessarily get to the root of the cause, may not heal it, but it will allow them to live. And then there's healing that goes in there and actually destroys the illness. So the kind of stuff that we do is purification. The lightning energy, what makes the lightning qigong unique is that we're tapping into the lightning power of the heart center, which is untouched. The kundalini, people have, every human has access to kundalini, which is the psychological energy. There's the chi power, the prana, the life force energy. Everybody has access to that. Every time you inhale and exhale, you are taking in life force energy. These are the energies that all human beings have access to. The lightning energy of the heart mind is not. It is used in every human being for one purpose, and that is to protect the soul from the harshness of three-dimensional reality. But this lightning that the soul sits in the heart center surrounded by this lightning energy. Everybody has it. And it keeps the soul in a state of where it's protected from three-dimensional reality, and it also protects three-dimensional reality from the power of the soul. So what if you could take that lightning energy and instead of having it be self-contained, which it is in everybody unless you do something to change that, what if you could take that lightning energy and have it released through your body and also through your intentions? Imagine having that kind of power available to you. And this is what the Maushan lightning qigong does. The spirit fighting, the lightning qigong, it gives you the ability to pull switches literally in your physical body, which will take that lightning energy and turn it around. Now, there is no such thing as a free lunch, however. You cannot get this kind of power without paying a price. The price that you will have to pay is the purification of your emotional attachments to your delusions, your illusions about life. And I don't care who you are. There are people who believe themselves to be completely spiritual and they are free of all connection until they release the lightning energy, and then they find out that, oh, I actually am attached to the idea of being this spiritual person. So it's very deceptive. This is why, for instance, a slightly different scenario, but the Buddhists say if you ever see Buddha on the side of the road, kill him. Which means that if you were, as a Buddhist, walking to create your own awareness, and if you saw the Buddha, the object of your worship that you want to be like, you would forget about yourself and you would attach to him and start worshiping him, which would be a complete waste of, you'd be ruining whatever awareness you were getting. Because the Buddha is you. The soul is you. And so when you get the lightning power, which is the most powerful energy in the universe inside of your body, and you release that for it to go out of your body, out of your intentions, then you have to release all of your attachments. You have to release your attachment to your identity, who you think you are. This is extremely important. There are people that I'm talking to who are addicted to, you and I, if we share the same understanding about the universe and we run into people, you know who I'm talking about, who are just completely hypnotized into the belief that we live in a safe, normal world. And you try and talk to them, they have such intense resistance, sometimes violent resistance to anything you tell them. You give them facts about the world isn't the way you think it is. And what do you experience? You experience condescension, you experience judgment, you might even experience anger. And that's because they are very attached to their belief in what the world is. I recently went through a death about this myself, so I understand that. So when you want this power of the lightning, the power that protects the soul, this power of purification that simply goes to the truth, to the root of the matter, you will have to go through a death. You will have to be purified. So if you want the power, anybody who's done this, if you go to thunderwizard.com and you sign up for the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong and you do that, if you talk to anybody who's doing that, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. They will tell you how all of these emotions started coming up, and they started realizing that they had a lot of challenges releasing ideas about who they are and who they are in the world, and it can be challenging. But the payoff is you get the power of lightning. You get the most powerful energy in the universe. And the people who created this, the Maushan, you can go see the Maushan 5-element practices that I teach. The Maushan Taoists, these are the original Taoist monks in China that all of the other Taoist sects came from. These guys understood that the most powerful energy was the lightning energy of the heart. And in fact, the name of the sect has within it being centered in the heart. If you notice other Taoist practices, where do they center? In the navel. Centering in the heart is where the real power is. And these guys had the ability to fight demons with their bare hands. What you're seeing next to me right now is a free Qigong practice that connects you to the immortals that you can do on my channel. It's the Awakening the Immortals Qigong. You can go look for that on my channel, and you can find out for yourself the kind of power that this gives. So the kind of energy healing that I do isn't, I don't take my energy and I dump it into somebody else. What I do is first I tap into the immortals, which you can do with this practice. The immortals of this tradition. I tap into them. I do the practice that I have, and your practice can be different as long as you're doing something involved with the lightning Qigong. Doesn't matter what. Tapping into that lightning energy of the heart. I do my own practice based on what I've learned. I get myself in that space. And then what I do is I then take people through a process of balancing the 5 elements, which are the 5 organs within the body. Now, they don't have to be involved in this. They can be at home asleep in bed. But I have their name, something that attaches me to them, their name, their birth date, a picture, something that I can focus on, which becomes then the focus of the healing. And then I just proceed to go through a process as though I'm going to heal myself, which I am. I mean, every time I do it, it heals me. But I simply focus that on them. And the difference is that it's not my energy that's doing the healing. It is their energy. So let me tell you a secret about healing. And any healer who doesn't tell you this either doesn't know the truth about the healing that they do, or they're a fraud. Sometimes they're not a fraud, they just don't understand. So the universe allows people to be mistaken. I know I've been mistaken many times in my life. But any healer out there who believes that they're healing somebody, they are mistaken. Every time somebody is healed, they heal themselves. Nobody else does it for you. How do you know that? Because you can go to somebody who is hypnotized in a false understanding of reality, and you can literally give them undeniable proof, and they still won't see it. They still will refuse to see it. Healing is the same way. Any healing, any disease, dis-ease, any dis-ease is the result of somebody who is out of balance with their own soul. Period. End of story. We talked about this yesterday, that science has proven that DNA does not determine anything. We've been told that DNA determines everything. You're born with a certain set of DNA in your cells, and that DNA is the program that tells you, how tall you are, your skin color, your eye color, what your brain capacity is, what your health, your strengths, your weaknesses, what diseases you have, all of that. And what they found out is that as a person gets older, they actually alter their DNA. You see this with two completely identical twins. Identical twins are identical. They were one person and then they split off and became two. It's a clone of the same person. And we found that in the beginning of life, their DNA is the same. But as they get older, especially as they get into midlife and into old age, you find that their DNA has mutated. And one will be healthier than the other. And it all depends on the person's response to life, which has to do with everything about what you believe. If you believe that you are trapped in a matrix and you're a victim, guess what? You're going to alter your DNA to reflect that in your body, which more than likely means you'll end up with some kind of illness. So that means illnesses like cancer, diabetes, etc., that these illnesses are the result of the person's mindset and belief and their continued investment in the beliefs that they have or the emotional reactions that they have based on their reaction to life. So healing is the same. It means that when you get healed, something has happened which gives you the ability to latch on to believe in something enough, and then your own unconscious literally goes in and will change the DNA in your cells so that your cells will respond differently to its environment. This is how you have, for instance, there's been no shortage of people who have died and come back. In one case, I've heard of a woman who had cancer. She was actually like in a coma and dying of cancer. She was extremely sick, so she died. And when she was out of her body, she realized, oh my God, I don't need to do anything to prove that I'm lovable. That I feel here right now that just the fact that I am a living soul and I'm conscious, that in and of itself means that I deserve love, unconditional love. And then she was brought back into her body, and she survived that, and she woke up and she brought that with her. She knew she was going to be healed. Now, there was no reason for her to get healed from that, because she had cancer to such a degree that there was no way she was going to survive. But miraculously, the tumors started shrinking, and then she ended up with zero cancer. And she's alive today and very happy. And she understands that she is loved and she deserves to be loved, and that there's nothing she needs to do to become worthy of love. And that awareness changes what her cells are doing in her body, and she's alive. So whenever somebody receives a healing, it's always coming from inside of them. So what I'm going to teach you is definitely, without a doubt, not the only way to do distance healing. There's just so many different ways that it can be done. What I will show you is what I've done to share this energy with others in a long distance way. What they choose to do with that energy is none of my business. And this hasn't been my full-time practice, and I said the reason that I've been inspired to create this certification is because people have asked me to. Numerous times people have asked me to. So we need healing in this world right now. If there's one thing we need right now, we all need healing. This is the kind of healing, the energy that's connected to this is the kind of healing that forces people, if they connect to it and they want to bring this energy into their lives and into their mind, they will have to release old ideas about themselves. They will have to release the pain. Did you know that psychological pain is something that you have to hold on to? If you've been traumatized, as many of us have been, I mean, I had a very traumatic upbringing myself, so I understand. But I can always tell when I'm talking to somebody on the chat, I can always tell if somebody's been traumatized in their childhood. I can always tell. Because you can't escape either the denial of the pain that you have or justifying holding on to it, what I call a victim mentality. And in order to release that victim mentality, you have to make the choice. You have to make the choice to do all kinds of things you don't want to do. But when I won't get into that right now, but when you do this kind of practice, even if you're just doing it for yourself, you release this lightning energy into your body. And this energy will then give you an opportunity to shift your idea about who you are. And the more you do the practice, the more the energy will start to reveal that to you, and that ends up creating what you see with people who talk about it, that they have a lot of intense feelings, uncomfortable feelings. And this can be confusing because you're like, wait a second, I wanted to get healed here. Why am I having all of this sadness and pain and anger and fear and confusion? Why is all this coming up? Because this is already inside of you. This is what's causing you the pain. And by the way, this healing is a complete healing. It's not a healing just of your physical body. Because as we've just discovered, your physical body is the result of your response to the stimulation of life, which has to do with your beliefs. If you have an assumption that the world is an unsafe place because you grew up in a very unsafe environment, which is a very logical conclusion, then that conclusion then interprets everything, every stimulation that comes in and turns it into that. And your body's constantly in this state of fight or flight. So I heard a really great understanding of this, which I'll share with you. There is only 3 innate fears in the human being. A baby that's born into the world only has 3 fears. One is the fear of sudden loud noises. That will frighten a baby. The fear of fast-moving objects. So if you throw a ball at a baby and the ball's coming at the baby's head, that will frighten the baby. If the baby falls off of, if you put the rocker on top of the edge of a table and it falls off, falling off of a height will frighten the baby. So you only have 3 innate fears: the fear of falling, the fear of being struck by a fast-moving object, and the fear of loud noises. Every single other fear you have is learned. So when we go back into caveman times, you had to be able to survive all kinds of pretty frightening things. There was all kinds of animals out there that wanted to get you, so you had to be prepared to run away or to fight against some animal that was trying to eat you. And so you have this fight or flight instinct. Now, in order to be healthy, when you're in a state of health, you are in a state of relaxation, and all of the blood and all of the nutrients and all of the energy is going into all of the organs of the body. Brain, the heart, the kidneys, the liver, all of that. But in order to be able to handle sudden danger, we have a stress system in our body that releases, for among other things, releases cortisol. So what cortisol does, as I understand it, is it shuts down a lot of the internal processes of the body. All the stuff that happens in the midsection of your body, all of your organs shut down, they stop. You stop digesting food, you stop synthesizing protein, you stop, all that stops because all of the energy needs to go into your arms and your legs to run away from the cave bear that's chasing after you and wants to eat you. But once you've either fought off the cave bear and killed it, or you've run away someplace safe and you've gotten safe, the danger is gone and your body goes back to normal. You relax and all of the blood flows to the organs and you start processing all the food and the nutrients and the protein, and and all of the energy moves around. This is the way we're supposed to live life. But if you have a response to life, if you have an assumption that you are a victim, that life is a horrible place because you experienced that, you went through a trauma for the first 18 years of your life, you're going to be programmed to respond to life as though it's a trauma. You are out of a desire to keep yourself safe. You will become paranoid. You will interpret everything that happens as a direct attack upon your essence, and you will process everything like that. Which means that you're constantly filled with cortisol, you're constantly filled with chemicals that shut down blood flow, and then what ends up happening? You get sick. You end up with arthritis, or you end up with cancer, or you end up with something. And so in order to be open to connect to your own energy within yourself, to let this lightning energy flow through your body, you have to be in a place of trust. And that means you will have to let go to your attachment of being afraid. It served you when you were 10 years old, but it's not serving you now that you're 25 or 35. So this lightning energy, what it does is it will go to people, and everybody has a different experience. The people that I've done this for have come back to me. Some people, by the way, have come back and said I didn't see or feel anything, which is perfectly fine because I have no agenda. This is between your guides and the ascended masters. It's between them. It's got nothing to do with me. It's none of my business. I'm just simply the facilitator. You've asked for help, which is really you've asked the universe. And once you give me my compensation to go and spend that hour and a half sending you the energy, then the rest of it has nothing to do with me. It's completely between your guides and the ascended masters and you, what you want to do with it. But some people have said all kinds of crazy things, like they saw lights in the room. They woke up in the middle of the night and they felt this energy flowing through them, and who knows what. I don't care. It's none of my business, and I don't take any credit for it. But simply because I practice this lightning qigong, and when I summon the ascended masters and say, hey, here's so-and-so, and they need healing, I'm going to do my practice, and I'm going to be focusing on them, and you guys work it out. Everything after that is none of my business. But you do have to have a connection to this power, because we live in a quantum field. My ancestors called it the web of weird. We live in a web where we live in this quantum field. Everything that you do and experience vibrates out through the quantum field. For instance, I don't know if you've experienced this, but I have recently. I've experienced it throughout this whole pandemic. But there's lots of times where I will feel very uncomfortable, and I can't figure out for the life of me why. Everything in my life will be great. Like right now, I'm sitting here in my house, and I'm looking out, I'm seeing the palm trees, and I'm seeing the jungle, and I'm seeing the forest, and the sun is shining. It's a beautiful day. And I'm happy and comfortable in my, my beach house here. I just had a great practice last night. I slept really well. I have everything I need. There's no reason for me to be upset. But I can feel in the quantum field, I can feel that there's a lot of fear. There's a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of confusion. And there's a lot of rage and anger. I can feel it. And the quantum field, is vibrating like that extremely intensely right now. So how I choose to react to that is going to vibrate on the quantum field as well. And when you do this kind of a practice, even if you're just doing it for yourself, you're releasing that lightning energy throughout the quantum field. What people do with that energy when it gets to them is their business. But you have this ability whenever you do this practice, especially if you focus on an individual, you're already connected to them. You're not supposed to put energy into anybody that doesn't ask for it. But when somebody comes to you and says, I want you to do this distance healing, they've now opened up their connection to you through the quantum field. And so now you have the ability to be the symbol for their unconscious. Your connection to this lightning energy, when you do the practices that I give you, actually will vibrate to them. They have given you permission, which means they have given their guides and your guides permission to work on them as well. Which means that the ascended masters of this tradition will do whatever they do to send energy through the quantum field, whether that's directly through you, because the other thing is every time that you do a distance healing, you heal yourself. Or whether it's directly to them, it's none of your business. But it does go through this quantum field. But, it's like anything. You have to ask permission. You have to open the connection. And this is all that happens between the healer and the person who's being healed. So what I'm going to be doing in this certification is I'm going to be walking you through what I do. And what I do is I connect directly to the ancestral masters, and I say, I'm here on behalf of whoever my client is. And I say, I invite their higher self and their spirit guides, and I invite my spirit guides and my higher self to interact with them while I do this practice. And then I go in and I will go to balance the 5 elements, which are the 5 organs within the body. Seeking to find within myself, areas that there's blockage or any kind of balance that needs to be done, or just simply to stimulate the 5 elements, the 5 organs, and have them be awakened. Sometimes I'll get an intuition of what's going on with them. Sometimes I'll get a picture in my mind of their energy body, and I'll see in their energy body where there might be some blocks. I might get some feelings about them. Or nothing might happen. I might just be enjoying, bathing in the energy. And then there are specific affirmations that I give for each one of the 5 elements to help the person's consciousness release and heal. And then I'll go and work on the 3 ones. So you have the 5 elements within you, and then you have the 3 energy centers. You have your higher self, you have your middle self where your soul resides, and you have your lower self, which is your navel, where your unconscious, in your subconscious psychological identity is. And I go to balance those, and I do powerful exercises for each one of those. And I have affirmations that I speak and I say to go through all of that. And then towards the end, what I'll do is I'll sit down and I'll meditate. I'll balance all of this energy. And then if I get a vision of their energy body, I will get an idea of what's happening, and then I'll imagine the energy going to them. And sometimes I can see how the energy wants to go into their energy body. And, at least that's, who knows? It could be just my own mind creating stuff. It really doesn't matter. But what's interesting is that I'll sometimes tell them, here's what I saw. And they'll say, oh my God, that's exactly right. I have this, that, or the other thing. Or I felt this, that, or the other thing. Again, it doesn't matter if they have an experience or not. But this is what I do whenever I do a distance healing, and this is what I'm going to be teaching in this certification course. So, if you are new to the channel, this is a question and answer. So that means if you have a question, you write the word question in all caps. Please follow my instructions so I can see your question and answer it. And then you ask me an honest question, whatever that is. I'm also open to hearing your honest feelings. A feeling is I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm frightened, not I feel so-and-so is a jerk. That's not a feeling, that's a judgment. I'd love to hear your honest feelings and your honest questions if you have any. So let's take a look and see at on the chat here. So drjweird.thunderwizard.com. So he is one of my certified rune readers. So you can go to his website, drjweird.thunderwizard.com, and you can get a reading from him. By the way, I also offer what's called the Lockdown Package, which has certifications in both rune reading and astrology. And you can get a healing certificate along with those. That bundled package will be available to you at the healingcertification.thunderwizard.com. And what ends up happening is when anybody who is one of my certificate holders, when I'm doing a live stream, if they come on and they just put their name up there, I will plug their website. So you can have that if you want as well. So Jaron Ragunan. So two most important things in life: pay attention and put effort. So maybe you've heard it, maybe you haven't. What I prefer is that people, if they have a question, they write the word question. Because when there's a ton of people, I just pass by anything that's not a question, because I only want to get to the questions. So please, in the future, please remember to do that. You say, why do recordings have healing power, and how do they stack up against live distance healing? That's a great question. None of it really matters. Whether it's a live recording, whether it's recorded, it's completely, really, it doesn't have any ultimate meaning. We live in a quantum field that is also, there's no time. So you are right now, you think you're living in this moment in linear time. And as true as that is, it's also an illusion. You are also right now existing 1,000,000 years in the past and 1,000,000 years in the future. Your future self can send energy back and influence the present, which means you can affect the future, you can affect the past. It's completely meaningless. The real question is, why do they have healing power for you? How do they stack up against live distance healing? So I did a video. If you look for it, you can find it on my channel. By the way, I put a video up learning how to search within somebody's channel. I recommend everybody watch that video. And I have a distance healing video where all I did is I came on, and in the video I said that I am going to employ a hidden, secret healing power that was taught to be by my teachers, that's thousands of years old. And what I want for you to do is I just want you to open your mind and look at the screen, and I'm just going to use my distance gazing to heal you. Even if it's recorded, don't matter, it'll work. That's what I said. And then I had some sort of hypnotic music underneath, and all I did was I just looked directly into the camera. To the best of my ability, I just wiped my mind clean and just looked into the camera. And then at the end of that video, I said, now, did you experience that? What I want you to do now is I want you to go to this link, and I gave you a link to another video, and I said, it's important that you find out exactly what that healing power was. And what's interesting is in that video, people write down the amazing experience they had just by me, just looking at a recording of me gazing into their eyes through the camera. Some people were frightened. Some people felt love. Some people felt energy flowing through their whole body. And then the video that I told them to go to, I said, okay, so now that you've had that experience, I want you to hold on to that. That was a very real experience. Now I'm going to share with you what the secret technique was. And then I said to them, I lied to you. All I did was just stare into the camera. You did all the healing. I didn't do anything. You used my blank slate of my face to project your feelings, and if you wanted to heal yourself, you projected healing. If you were afraid, that means that you've got unresolved fear that's coming out of you, and you projected that onto me. And the more people that came back to me, there are people that said, I hear what you're saying, but you still healed me. And I'm like, okay. Which has got me thinking maybe I should do more of those videos. But the point is that it's really important to know that you're the one that's doing the healing. The healing is just the facilitator. And it doesn't take away from anybody's power. There are very powerful healers out there. I know that I have power in my hands and my body as well. I know that I have the power to send energy places. I know that. But nothing happens in a vacuum. You can't heal somebody that doesn't want to get healed. And somebody that does want to get healed, anything can heal them. A rock can heal them. As long as they, through their willingness to change and grow and transform, that rock will then be the channel through which the quantum field sends that energy to them. So, to answer your question, why do recordings have healing power and how do they stack up against live distance healing? Completely depends on you. And I guess it depends on the healer as well. Anything can happen here. I'm not trying to limit anything. Perhaps the intention of the healer might be so powerful that, they have an ability to influence your expression. But ultimately, everybody has to make the decision themselves. I'll give you another example. And if you watch my videos on demon possession, you'll hear me talk about this. But I used to be an exorcist many years ago. It wasn't something that I consciously intended. I had no conscious intention of becoming an exorcist. I was young at the time. Started when I was in my teens, and it lasted up into my early 20s, and when I made the decision I was going to stop doing it. And the reason that I stopped doing it was because I saw that I had power to do this. The first exorcism I did, literally if you had been there, you would have seen the same thing. The person's face completely changed, transformed into the face of a demon. And it was quite a frightening thing to see. And I put my hand on his chest, and at that time I was a Christian, so I said, in Jesus' name, I command, blah, blah, blah. And I could see that the demon was looking past me. There was something behind me that was scaring the crap out of it. But I was the instrument through which whatever that being was, angel, who knows what. And I'm saying, and I command you to, and I can see that there's all kinds of things going on around me that my physical eyes can't see. And then the demon left and the guy came back, and I told him, I said, listen, you need to, you need to pray I don't remember what I said. You need to pray every day, or you need to go see the pastor, or you need to, because if you don't, it's going to come back. And I, to his unfortunately, to his demise, I said 2 weeks. I said, you have 2 weeks. And sure enough, 2 weeks later, he's walking around his house. He said something grabbed him by the throat and threw him up against the wall. He could see that his feet were dangling off of the ground. And then it dropped him and he cried and out of fear. And I don't know what happened after that. And every time that I did subsequent exorcisms, real exorcism, the demon comes to the forefront. So you'll see a person there, and the person will be saying, I'm afraid, they're doing this to me, they're saying this, and then they'll pass out, and then the demon will come to the front. And maybe you'll see something different, but at the very least, they'll talk, they'll say horrible things, they'll make horrible sounds. It's really frightening. And every time I would be able to, command the demon to go away, the person would come back, and I would say, who harmed you? And every single time there was somebody that harmed them. It was an uncle or a father or their mom or somebody physically, emotionally, psychologically, or sexually traumatized them. And I said, you have to tell me who hurt you. And if they refused, they would then, the demon would come forth, and then I'd get the demon out of the way for a little while, and I'd say, you have to tell me who hurt you. They'd say, Uncle so-and-so. I'd say, okay, now you have to forgive them. And I remember they'd go, no. And of course, then the demon would come back. And I'd say, I'd get the demon out of there for a second. I'd say, you've got to forgive your uncle. Otherwise, I can't help you. And then they'd say, okay, I forgive Uncle Bob for whatever he did. And then magically, I could get the demon to leave. And then I'd say the same thing. I'd say, listen, you need counseling. You need to go to a counselor, a therapist, your pastor, whomever, and you need to work through and really go deep and feel this pain and get through it and heal, or it's going to come back. And every single time, they would say, okay, and then they wouldn't do it, and every single time, the demon would come back. And I gave up. I said, you know what? These people need counseling. They don't need an exorcist. And so that's why I stopped doing those kinds of exorcisms. So this kind of healing, when you use the lightning energy, it's like an exorcism. You're going in and you're sending the most powerful energy, which gets to the truth of who you are. So if you want to heal, this is, by the way, this is the test that the world is going through. Never in my life has there ever been anything like this. You are being forced to do something, and just somebody that I just knew, who knew better, who knew what was going on with all this stuff, decided to allow an employer to force them to do something to their physical body they did not feel safe doing. And this is the test. Are you willing to go against the approval and the acceptance of the world? If you're being accepted by the world, whether that's the government, your family, your spouse, whomever, your employer, all of your friends, if you're willing to do something you don't understand or feel comfortable doing, just to get their approval. Okay, we'll let you go out to dinner. We'll let you go out in public. We'll let you go to a venue. We'll let you keep this job. This is the test. Are you willing to sacrifice everything to hold on to your power of choice, your control over your own mind and body? It's that simple. This is the test for everybody. And that's all that this is. This kind of healing, when you send it to somebody, they will have to let that energy in, and they're going to have to let go of whatever toxic feelings, assumptions, ideas that are preventing them from completely connecting to their soul and to life force energy. It's just that simple. It doesn't have to be any more complicated than that. So to answer your question, it doesn't matter. There's no such thing as time. You can go back and heal yourself as a kid. You can go in the future and ask your future self to be better. You can ask your future self for advice. There's a really good understanding that we live in multiple timelines. According to physics, every single possible timeline is existing right now. In other words, if you can imagine yourself being king of the universe, there is a timeline where you are king of the universe. Also, there's a timeline where you're, a miserable homeless person. There's a timeline where you have achieved your highest spiritual development, your greatest happiness, your greatest success and prosperity. So you can do an exercise where you ask that part of yourself that's in that most perfect timeline. You can ask yourself, what should I do right now? How should I handle this situation? And your best self will be able to tell you exactly what to do. But you have to follow that. I'll give you a story about this. This was really amazing to me. There's a guy, I forget his name, Bert something, I forget his name. He calls himself the American monk. I think he calls it quantum jumping or something like that. And he was talking about this, and you can be perfect this and that, and you can be, the best at anything, even if you've never done it before. And people said, okay, prove it. And he says, all right, tell me what you want me to be, to master. And so somebody said, photography. He goes, okay, I don't know anything about photography. All right, I'll see you guys. I don't know whether it was a week or 2 weeks or something like that. I'll see you in 2 weeks, and I'll show you that I've mastered photography. And so he didn't know anything about photography, and this was way back when we had what's called Instamatic cameras. If you haven't been born in the, if you're like 30 years or younger, you don't know what I'm talking about. We used to have these things called Instamatic cameras, where you had these little boxes, and you had to open the back, and then there was this film cartridge you stuck in there, and then you turned a knob, and there was this film on it. So you had to take pictures on the thing, and then you had to open the back and take out this film canister, and you had to give it to somebody. And there was these things they were like Starbucks, and they were all over the place, and they were called 1 hour photo or instant photo. You saw them everywhere. If you went into a grocery store, there was a photo thing where you could drop in your film and it would come back in a week. And then so a week later, if it was instant photo, they'd do it in 24 hours or an hour, I don't know, however long. You'd come back, and then you'd have this big envelope, and you'd open the envelope, and there'd be all these pictures in it, that had been printed on there. So he goes and does this, and he goes to himself, and he goes to the timeline where his higher self is a master photographer, and he asks himself what to do, and his higher self, or his master photographer self, told him something. I don't know what it was. The thing is, you get these really tiny little messages. And whatever the message was just point and shoot, something like that. So he tried to figure out what that was, and so he went down to a dock, and he just went click, 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 click. Didn't focus on anything. He just clicked in a bunch of different directions. He just followed exactly what his master photographer self told him what to do. So he takes out the film thing, gives it to the film guy. The guy brings it back. He gets this envelope full of just these nonsense pictures. So he doesn't know what to do with it. So he pours it out on the bed, and he starts to see something. And he starts to rearrange it a little bit, and then he finds that he's created this three-dimensional picture that he's never seen anything like that before. And so it's like a puzzle, and he works it out, and it's like it ends up having this three-dimensionality. And I don't know what he did. He put it on like a whiteboard. He put them all on this thing, and then I don't know how he did this. He went and entered it into some photography contest, and he ended up winning the prize. So when he comes back with this thing, and he puts up his thing and the prize, and people are looking at this amazing thing that he's done. And he said, you see, All you have to do is just talk to your higher self, and you already know what you're supposed to do. You can do anything you want. This is what's happening with this. There's no future, there's no past, there's no me, there's no you, there's a quantum field. And it really just depends on how you choose to interact with that quantum field. There's another healer. You can go check him out. I believe I'm spelling this right. Haleakala Hugh Lin. I don't know if I'm spelling this right. He's a Huna healer. And I actually use his healing prayer in this distance healing. So this guy, he was a psychologist who, I don't know how it ended up happening, he ended up learning the Hawaiian form of healing called Huna. And there was an insane asylum in Hawaii, and they had really bad patients, like people that would bite your ears off. If you got close to them, they'd bite you, they'd kill you, they'd stab you, they'd throw feces at you. It was horrible. So for the health, or they damaged themselves. So for the health of the inmate and the help of, and to the health of the people around, they'd have to chain people to the wall, things like that, so they wouldn't hurt themselves or hurt anybody else. And they couldn't do anything. So they went to this guy because they'd heard that he has this amazing power to help people get sane. And so they asked him, would you come and help us? And he checked in with his soul, and his soul told him, yes, this is what you're supposed to do. So he went to them and said, yeah, I'll help you. They said, great, we'll set up an office. So they set up an office for him. And then they said, great, when can you go meet with the patients? He says, oh, I'm not going to meet with the patients. I said, how are you going to help them if you're not going to meet with them? He says, don't worry, that's my business. I just want their files. So they were desperate. Okay, this guy, we'll just, whatever he says. So this stack of files on his desk, and he takes a file for one patient, he starts opening up, he starts reading through, throwing feces at and whenever he had a negative response, he had a judgment about them, he'd close the file shut, and he would focus on them, and then he would do the Huna prayer. I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. And he would do that over and over and over until he could see in his mind's eye that they were a perfect divine soul. That was absolutely perfect. And then when he saw that, he knew he was done. He'd move on to the next person. Oh my God, they bit somebody's ear out. And then he'd have that judgment, and he'd have to work through that judgment. And the way he explains it was, I wasn't healing them. I was healing myself. I was healing the bad, what he calls the bad data within me that said that person was miserable and imperfect. And everybody's perfect. It's an illusion that there's something wrong with him. I'm the one that has the problem. I see him as this horribly screwed up person. That's my fault. And I'm not doing it for them, I'm doing it for me, because when I heal all of the damage within me, the damaged data, then I will be perfect. Then I will be healed. Now he says, he's got to have some karmic destiny with him. He can't just do it for anybody. But this is the idea behind healing. That you're not the one that does the healing. They heal themselves. And the fact that Dr. Hugh Lin had this connection with them, and he was the one that was changing the data within himself, it means that those people, they were ready to heal. And so because we live in this quantum field where what I do affects you and vice versa, that by Dr. Haleakala Hugh Lin healing himself of that bad data within himself, that self-directed negativity, that he then used that person as a symbol for his own lack of healing. The opposite's happening. That person is using, if they know about you, they're using you as a symbol to heal themselves. And what's magically is everybody gets healed. What those in power are trying to do. They're trying to project onto you their fear, their self-directed hatred, their insecurity, their deep, deep, deep pain and sadness and the horror that they must live on the deepest aspect of themselves. They're projecting it onto the world. And it's up to you whether or not you want to accept that projection or not. It's completely up to you. All right. Yvette Mendez says, I read her mind about this topic today. Yeah, see what I mean? I didn't. But Yvette wanted this topic to be talked about because there's a quantum field, and because it serves my goals and my karma, I thought, oh, you know what I'm going to talk about today? But maybe it was her idea. Maybe she got the idea in her mind and thought it was her idea because I was thinking about it last night. Baba Junzo, honest feeling. A few months after starting the 90-day, I began reading the Tao Te Ching, which says a lot about the heart. And I feel like the lightning Qigong makes me understand it on a deeper level. I totally understand that. There was a time when I was reading the Tao Te Ching every day. It's really phenomenal. I mean, it's one of those books that's just, you can apply it to anything. But what you're doing, it's like when I read it, he's teaching me how to spirit fight. A guy who does Tai Chi will go, oh, he's teaching me how to do Tai Chi. Somebody who's just a philosopher will go, oh, he's teaching me about philosophy. Somebody who's a politician will go, oh, he's teaching me about how to govern. Oh, he's teaching me how to be a parent. That's one of those books. Yvette Mendez, okay, let's see, is that a question? Okay, no, that's not a question. That's a great experience though, Yvette. Baba Junzo, question, can you use the Immortals Qigong as distance healing for friends or loved ones? I think I just said that, didn't I? In fact, that's one of the things that I will be employing in this certification program. And it doesn't matter who you are. If you're just somebody that's on my channel and you're not subscribed to anything, I'll teach you how to use it based on the free teachings that I've already put up on YouTube. I'll give you a list of the things, go do this, go do this, go do this. I'll walk you through it. If you're one of the 90-day subscribers, I will have specific practices just for you. Do this, do this, do this. If you're a spirit fighter, I'll teach you how to do that based on what I've taught you. Yeah. But I'm definitely not the only game in town, and you don't need me to do it. But because people asked, I'm happy to teach them. Excuse me. I don't see any other questions here. Does that mean I get to go surfing now? Is that what is going to happen now? All right, so that's it for me, guys. No other questions. I don't have any more for you. I'll go ahead while we're here, and I'll go ahead and play you the. I don't think, have I uploaded this? I don't think I've uploaded this. I'll go ahead and play the certification video. Not the video, just kind of the whatever, the advertisement for it. So let's see what I had to say there. Hello everybody, this is Mahadev the Thunder Wizard, and I have an exciting announcement. I am going to be releasing to you a course in how to do the Lightning Qigong distance healing. People have been asking me for a while to create a certification course for the Lightning Qigong distance healing. And so I have done so. And now you know that. So if you are wanting to become certified in the Lightning Qigong healing, which uses the Maushan energy, you can go to healingcertification.thunderwizard.com. I have All right, whatever I just said silently, I want you guys to take it in. Okay, so that's it for me. Nothing else for me today. I'll see you guys when I see you. Take good care of yourself.